Hello, friends. Hope this message finds you well. Today, we're going to have a conversation about meditation. And I'm so grateful to have you all here. Hopefully, you had a wonderful 4th of July. We had a lot of fun, got to get some sunshine and some pool time. So, that's always amazing. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Brandi of Brandi Michelle, and I'm a happiness coach. So it's the best job ever. I help people who've had lots of success in their life, but still feel like something's missing, actually like change the paradigm where they no longer believe that happiness is going to be an outcome of that success. And instead they pivot and really understand that happiness has to be a goal unto itself. And when we focus on raising our happiness set point, the unintended consequence is that life is going to flow to us much more easily. So, as we talk about meditation today, if you have any comments, please put those in the comment box. If you have any questions, please add those there. And we always come back and answer any questions or comments that people have. And also, I just love to hear from you. So, please do let me know what you're thinking. Also, on the first Monday of every month, I launch a cohort of the Joy Blueprint. And so it's for those of you who kind of fit the description of what I just shared, people who have had a lot of success, but still feel like something's missing and would love to increase the amount of joy in their life. And it's a 20 lesson course where you get one lesson per day as well as exercises so that you can actually embody the work. And we have weekly calls, and the content is available to you for 90 days. There's also a community that you become a part of once you sign up for the course. So I will actually leave the website right here in the comments so that you guys all can grab it. All right, let's get started. So there are so many forms of meditation, and all of them are incredibly helpful in terms of how they impact your life. And so I offer to you that, if you already have a meditation practice, that you really just want to continue to go deeper and deeper on that meditation practice. If you don't have one, or if you do and you're thinking about how to go deeper, let's talk about first some of the benefits, and then some of the ways that it impacts your brain, and go from there. So, regular meditation over time is going to quiet your mind. And why this is so incredibly important is because the average human has 70,000 thoughts per day. 90% of those thoughts are repetitive. So you're kind of thinking the same thing over and over and over again. And 80% of those thoughts are actually like negative, right? So you're creating these neural pathways in your brain, reinforcing these neural pathways with these negative thoughts, which then, right, draws those things to you, right? And the irony of that is you sometimes will, like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but you'll sometimes use that data point, the fact that it showed up in your life, to justify kind of why you were worried about it, instead of taking a step back and saying, perhaps me worrying about it is why I drew that to my life, right? So meditation in and of itself quiets our brain over time. The trick there is that, unfortunately, many people like move away from meditation because they feel as though they can't quiet their mind. And so you don't want to go into a meditation practice like expecting to quiet your mind. It's just like this beautiful outcome that comes with a consistent practice. And the less you worry about quieting your mind, the more likely you will be to actually quiet your mind. It's this beautiful kind of inverse correlation. So it's going to quiet your mind. And by doing that, you're going to then see this stress reduction, right? So you're going to see like the actual stress response in your body is going to be reduced. It's going to improve your focus and concentration, right? So if you don't have like all of these thoughts ruminating through your mind, then you're able to like focus and concentrate on what you are intending to focus and concentrate on. And that's like really so critically important. Um, it's going to give you increased awareness, right? Like, so the more that we move into our meditation practice, we quiet our mind, the more we're going to have awareness of what's happening in our brains, right? And then we can be more intentional about how we choose our thoughts and what we choose to focus on, right? So you're going to get this like really beautiful self-awareness where you observe your thoughts, you observe your emotions, you can remove yourself from kind of your behaviors, and you're not going to have kind of these as many like emotional fits that happen, and you're like step back and say like, oh wow, that kind of got away from me. You're just going to see that less and less. It's going to improve your sleep, right? Like we all talk about sleep hygiene. It's really going to improve your sleep, and it's going to improve the quality of your sleep, um, because you've reduced those racing thoughts in your head. And also you're going to be like, a beautiful outcome of it is like this enhanced creativity, right? So because these new ideas are going to be able to emerge, right? So when we're constantly thinking, we can't hear our thoughts. And I think that's I say it like that intentionally, right? Like, so thinking is like this action, it's like happening to you, and our thoughts are like kind of like our connection with our highest self, and those things like pop in, and they're there to guide us, right? And you want to be able to hear those things, but when your brain is going kind of a mile a minute, you're just unable to hear it. And so you have to, again, like get into this practice. So let's talk a little bit about, so those are like all the reasons why we want to have this beautiful um, meditation practice, because all of those things are going to help you shift your life in many, many ways. And so you want to be like really tuned in um, to what's going on in your brain, right? Because like our thoughts shape our reality, right? And so like if you're whatever you're thinking, like that thinking pattern is creating these like neural pathways. This is science, and those neural pathways are then like shaping your life, because your brain is so incredibly powerful that it really wants to prove you right. So I'm going to say that again. Our brains are so incredibly powerful that it wants to prove us right. And so it is going to seek to align with what you're thinking, right? And so we want to be really, really tuned in to that. Okay. So a couple things about meditation. Like when we're meditating, we actually aren't, as I said earlier, trying to clear our minds. We are instead kind of like sitting, and you can think a mantra. You can like, sometimes I'll just like take a piece of fabric and rub it lightly, right? So you have something that you're focused on gently, right? Instead of focusing. And then you'll get to the point where perhaps you'll lose the mantra, or perhaps you'll lose this idea that you're feeling, and you'll be in this really beautiful space where your mind is still and you don't even realize it. And then perhaps some thoughts will come into your head, and then you can shift back to this mantra, or you can shift back to kind of like rubbing. You can like gently rub your fingers together, or you can rub a piece of fabric between your fingers, but you gently go back to that, right? And then you'll get lost again, and then you'll shift back, right? So that is one of my favorite ways to meditate, because it's really like about not forcing. And it's almost this metaphor for life, right? Like the more we try to force anything, the less likely it is to actually show up in our experiences, or it's going to show up with a lot of friction, and it's going to show up much more slowly, right? So the other thing that we want to, like, I'm going to just tee up for you guys that you want to consider is this idea that over time, what our goal really is to do is to kind of decrease our brainwave functioning, right? So we want to we're more often in this kind of beta brain state. And when we're in beta, that's like basically how we're running through life. And we have 5 brain waves, but 4 that we kind of like move through most often. But as we get older, what we find is like we're in beta when we're awake and we're in delta when we're asleep. And we kind of like quickly run through alpha and theta. And our alpha and theta brainwave states are like these beautiful states of creation, right? It's going to help us more beautifully co-create our lives. And so when we quickly move through those 2 brainwaves through the day, then we're less likely to intentionally co-create our lives, right? And so if we can move into this kind of alpha state, that's a state of like communion and receivership, right? So we're really connected at that state. So we kind of send signals out to the field and we get signals back from the field in that alpha. And so that is a brainwave state that we can move into. And in that brainwave state, we are going to both send a signal, kind of, right? So you can send out something that you're looking to manifest. And you can also like get these, I call them downloads, but you can get insight and information that you're looking for in order to move down the path towards whatever you're trying to co-create. And then in theta, you're like in this, I think of it as the ocean. You're like in this really still state, but you're still awake, but you're just kind of like no space, no person, no thing. You're just like there. And in theta, you are able to just like be in this really beautiful space, kind of more in a receivership state. And so there's many different forms of meditation that can help you get there. But I think as you're kind of thinking about meditation and how you want to go about it, you ultimately want to choose a form of meditation that helps you kind of actually quiet your brainwaves. So one that many, many people know are kind of like transcendental or Vedic meditation. Those forms of meditation like really are going to teach you how to move your brain through these different states. So I think that's mostly what I wanted to share about meditation. There's so much on it. I think like if you just start with a mindfulness practice, right? Like where you just are like seeking to have awareness about your brain, and you can do that through kind of some of these apps that are out there, and those apps are pretty good. And you can also use that like as a stepping stone to moving to these kind of more, these deeper forms of meditation. So I'm wishing for all of you peace and happiness and joy. And as I always say, imagine a world where we had 8 billion happy people. What a world it would be. So always remember that kind of changing the world is an inside job. It starts with each of us. And if we think about the change we wish to see in the world, I think the first step is just really knowing that as often as possible, you are showing up as the very best version of yourself that is available to you. And the more often you do that, we have this beautiful domino ripple effect across the world, right? Starting with our community, starting with our family, building into our community, and on and on and on. And so we're the one person that we can control in this lifetime. And when we do that, great things will come. So sending you guys lots of love again. Would love to have you in the Joy Blueprint. I have linked it in the comments, and you can learn more on our website. You can also sign up to receive our journal entries, which publish on the 1st and 15th of every single month. So hope to find you in my community soon. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful remainder of your week. Bye now.